Matt is like one of the only other guys I know that fantasizes about exploring, his passion the way that I do. I think we have a lot of synergy in our approach to what we do, and for the most part, other than the vehicle, I think the universe that we're both, trying to create to explore our skateboarding or BMX passion is similar in scale, and some of the ideas parallel. Matt was, the first validation I had ever seen to really out of the box, massive scale, not average style ramp riding. The first, Airwalk shoes promo video they made with Matt back in like 1992, I think, was like such a huge validation, because I had the same kind of fantasies that Matt was having about wanting to go bigger, and instead of looking at the current ramp design thinking it's not, how big my wheels are on my skateboarder, how strong I can make my legs at this point. There's gotta be another piece of the puzzle that can be tweaked here to get more out of this. And the ramp, I think, design was probably the last place that most people really thought about when it came to magnitude. I just thought that the standard dimension was the standard, and that's what you work inside of, and whatever you can get out of that is what you get out of it. I think people just didn't understand or didn't want to take the risk for the obvious reasons, because it costs a lot of money to build ramps, and it's nice to build something that works, that's validated already, that it's already been proven. And who wants to go spend $50,000 to $100,000 on a ramp that might not work? I'm a big fan of Mat Hoffman, so it's like, a little bit starstruck when I'm hanging out with him, let alone, getting to experiment with something like this with him. A lot of my inspiration came from Matt's original high air project that he created. And he proved that you can build a 20-foot ramp and go 20 feet out of it in the early 90s, and that was the big deal. I was just thinking about it. Matt flew out here by himself. He came and stayed with me. It just was on a kind of a loner mission. Obviously we hung out and we went and skated and stuff, but he was here for I think 5 or I forget how many days. But just how quiet he is up until the time he, rides, and, his process of warming up and how quickly he starts going for some of the bigger stuff that he does. It's a very quick process, My goal with the project is, because I had a date where I had to really put it down on that date, like, I had to be healthy for this date. I couldn't take myself out leading up to this date or it would ruin the whole project. So I had to kind of pace myself a bit through the process of getting to that day without taking too much risk that I didn't need to take. But I could tell Matt was just like, I'm only going to be here for a few days, so I may as well just get it all out right now. His process went from the basic warm-up airs to going right to the top of the tower and taking a shot at the highest peak of the roll-in. For me, I wasn't really moving as quickly as him on that pace, but it was really exciting to watch because, we hadn't explored that yet. So, he was the first one up there. One thing that scared the out of me every time he went, because he stayed on just the one side of the takeoff side of the ramp that I built. He had the one where he slid off the side and fell down, and it's a 10-foot drop right there. It's 10 feet. When I told him it got torn down, he's all, well, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe. He was saying that, and I was like, maybe it is, man, because you never know. We all have a fantasy of what we want to accomplish, and in the process we obviously get humbled sometimes, and sometimes we achieve more than what we think we can, but you always want to think big. It's humbling to watch him, and makes me, have to look at myself in the mirror and tell myself to man up at times, goals are good to have, and in these situations sometimes you have to, maybe be okay with getting a little less than what you want to accomplish, because getting greedy in these types of situations can have a pretty harsh outcome. One thing that I'm very grateful for is that there has been a new standard created with this scale of ramp design, which is something that you can get used to and get somewhat consistent with and find your comfort zone. The mega ramp, for example, that scale, it's definitely dangerous, and you can push it pretty hard on that ramp, and you could definitely have some catastrophic outcomes from mistakes as well. But for the most part, it's not always about going bigger every time you go skate. for me at least. But the idea of not knowing where the boundary is and knowing there is more out there, and it is possible that we can go bigger and higher. Maybe there is a new ramp design out there that will create a new standard for all this new possibility. I'm always going to be curious to that, and I think that's what's that's what keeps sucking me in. I am grateful that there is some sort of platform now that Matt and myself has contributed to that has standardized some scale of beyond conventional vert ramp riding was.